Kilora on Lashaw. In a Willamid, ag noctu lact, a gwina dilish, den truris lahad, oglig ernach, a chasson vod, a son sirchen atira, a shaktan a cascat, lady agashadia. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we unveil a monument here at the historic Boston Gate area of Clonmel in perpetual memory of the 43 Irish volunteers who, supported by their comrades in Commemoration, Fianna and the nationalist people of the area, mobilised under arms during Easter week 1916 to reassert the cause of Irish freedom and to establish the Irish Republic. Because of the countermanding order that week, they were not called upon to act, but they stood ready, and subsequent events would prove how ready they were. A number were rounded up and interned in England and Ireland in the immediate aftermath of the Rising, and many took part in the War of Independence, which finally led to the establishment of the Irish state. It is our wish that this monument will stand in permanent tribute to the memory and idealism of those volunteers and to all who fought for Irish freedom during that momentous week in Irish history 100 years ago in 1916. I'm now honoured to call on the Chairman of the Prairie County Council, Councillor Seamus Hannafin, to address you.
Thank you very much, Colin, and can I say that I'm delighted to be here this afternoon in Clonmel as part of the 1916 commemoration, yet another event as part of that. It has been my great privilege to be here at Tipperary County Council during the year which commemorates the 1916 Rising. And I suppose the Easter Rising set in play was a hugely important event in the history of our country. It set in train a whole series of subsequent events that brought for us our own independence and our right to self-determination. And it is hugely important that 100 years later that we recount that and we remember that and we do that in a way that is dignified and inclusive and indeed in a way that is educational. And I think that that's hugely important that we see so many young people here today, that we can continue the memory of those brave people who set in train the events that led us to our own independence. So congratulations to everybody who's been involved in this. I want to thank the voluntary committee who have put so much work into making today a success, and Gurb Míle Mágat, and thank you for being here.
As Mayor of Clonmel Borough District, I'm delighted on my own behalf, on behalf of the people of Clonmel Care District, to be here today to honour the Irish volunteers who mobilised in Clonmel on Easter week 1916. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the 1916 Rising, the seminal event leading up to the establishment of the Irish Free State. The leadership and the sacrifice shown by those who ignited the flame of Irish Revolution, which led ultimately to the peace and freedom in which we live and conduct our affairs today, has to be acknowledged. That heroism and sacrifice of the brave men and women in 1916 won for us control of our own destiny, and the freedom and opportunities we now have today cannot be understated. I must thank the many descendants and relatives of the participants in Clonmel on Easter week 1916 who have gathered here today to honour their brave ancestors. You, the relatives, have a special relationship with the founding moments of our country and with the creation of the independent Ireland we have today. I'm so proud to share this event with you all. I would also like to thank the members of Hush the Spirit 1916 Clonmel, who actively organised a number of public events in participation with Tipperary County Council over the course of the year. Finally, on behalf of the people of Clonmel, a big thank you to everyone who has attended today's event and to all involved in organising today's event. The location of this monument facing the beautiful Cumberland Mountains will allow future generations of Clonmel townspeople to become familiar with the names of its sons who were prepared to answer the call of freedom in 1916.
Thank you, Pat, for those most appropriate words. The Proclamation of the Irish Republic will now be read by Commandant Gerard Deely, a native of Clonmel and a member of the Irish Defence Forces.
Up the Herd, the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic, to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment. And supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the Irish people to the ownership of Ireland, to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished, except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and its exaltation amongst the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that will cause dishonour to it by cowardice, inhumanity or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, John McDiarmid, Thomas MacDonagh, P.H. Pearce. Eamon Cant, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett.
Now officiate as an ecumenical blessing of the monument.
We remember them today. The 43 local men under Frank Rowan, and all the men, women and children of the Irish North and South, those who were injured or died as a result of the Easter Rising.
We remember the living sacrifice. We remember the lost descendants. We remember the courage. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord. May perpetual light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. Amen.
The names which I am about to read are the names of the real pacifists of their time. They were prepared to risk their young lives in support of the Dublin insurgents so that their children and ours might live in peace, and that forever might be ended the horror of Irish manhood dying by the thousand in the wars of empire. The walls of this old town may well echo their names with pride. Frank Drohan, John Allen, Thomas Barrett, Thomas Barron, B.P. Bowen, Charles Boylan, William Byrne, William Cleary, John Clooney, John Cronin, Philip Cunningham, James Dempsey, Thomas Donovan, Michael Drohan, Robert Drohan, James Forrestal, Thomas Halpin, Michael Hanrahan, Patrick Hickey, Sean Hurley, James Kennedy, Dominic Mackey, John Mackey, William Mackey, Edward Maloney, John Morrissey, Jeffrey Morrissey, Sean Morrissey, William Miles, Thomas O'Brien, Edward O'Dwyer, Patrick O'Dwyer, Frank O'Mara, Seamus O'Neill, Sean O'Neill, Thomas O'Regan, Michael O'Sullivan, Jeremiah Purcell, James Ryan, Dennis Scahan, John Tynan, Matthew Tynan, Michael White. Be green upon their graves, O happy spring, for they were young and eager who are dead. Of all things that are young and quivering with eager life, be they remembered. They move not here. They have gone to the clay. They cannot die again for liberty. Be they remembered of their land for aye. Green be their graves, and green their memory.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now ask Lauras O'Moroku to address you.
When Seamus Leahy contacted me and asked would I be available to be present here today, I deemed it an honour. But it was a double honour coming from Seamus, realising the role, the noble role that the Leahy family played in winning independence for our nation. The importance of today's event is that it's happening and that there were people prepared to take on the task of organising this event, and that you took time from the many other attractions at your disposal to come along and be part of this ceremony today. It's also particularly important that we have with us the relatives of the volunteers. You relatives have every reason to be proud, because those men and women who stood for Ireland against every obstacle and every challenge were true patriots. We should remember they were not mercenaries. They had nothing to gain personally, but the position was that they were people who were idealistic, people of keen intellect, people who had already established themselves in their own professions and their own businesses, and yet they were prepared to take the risk. And people often ask the question, why would anyone do that? Well, if you're an idealist, and you're of keen intellect, and you're steeped in culture, and you understand about your own national identity, it would not be possible for you to coexist side by side with subservience and servitude. That would not be part of their makeup. So they were prepared on behalf of right to challenge might. And that is exactly what it was. On the 50th anniversary of the Easter Rising, there was a great commemoration here in this town. And a wonderful little booklet was published on that occasion, put together by Niall O'Neill, Liam O'Hushty, Padraig O'Finnegan and Abraha O'Finnegan, who was with the Christian Brothers here. And the importance of the booklet was that they had the opportunity to talk to the people who participated in 1916. They were able to get first-hand accounts. And we are lucky that the committee then took that task on board. And reading through the notes, one sometimes might forget that this also, like today's commemoration, was inclusive in many ways in 1916. In an article by Seamus O'Neill, he refers to the fact that even the landed gentry provided contributions of up to £50 to buy weapons, to buy guns. Because bear in mind, they did not have any weapons. So with those contributions and fundraising events, they were able to purchase a small quantity of rifles. And that indicates to you, and it puts into context, how difficult it must have been to stand out from the crowd and to make a statement which involved danger, might I say, immediately. But they made that statement. And the fact that they were ready and mobilized, and that they were prepared to put their lives in danger, is indicative of the type of people we are commemorating here today. This has been a wonderful year so far, where the commemoration is concerned. If you look throughout the country and realize the great events which are happening, there's an outpouring of affection, an outpouring of appreciation, an outpouring of pride in this year. 2 years ago, when it was being discussed, people thought that wouldn't happen. The reason it happened is that at all times the Irish people, it may have been dormant, it may have been quiet, they always wanted to show that they appreciated the sacrifices and the effort which was made on their behalf. Because bear in mind, it was on their behalf it was made, not on behalf of the participants. And today our nation and our state can hold its head high among the nations of the world. How well we are doing it, because 1916 inspired not just us as a people, it inspired the whole world. And there's many a legislature today will tell you that they were inspired by the people here. They were inspired by what happened here in 1916. And why? Because of the chivalry, because of the odds against them. This was what they were doing. When I spoke 25 years ago, I was working in the council offices in Irishtown. And I can remember then the names of the participants in Clonmel being mentioned as if it was yesterday's event. The name of Frank Drohan would come up over and over again, and Seamus O'Neill, and many of the names that we saw with the children carrying here today. So back in the 60s, it was part of your community heritage. It was your legacy. That's what was important. It was your legacy. And I think for that reason, it's from that we will learn how to take on challenges in the future. How do you pay the best tribute to somebody who has done something special for you? It's to understand them, understand their philosophy, understand their ideology, and understand their bravery and their courage, and then to emulate what they did. Emulate in a different way today. That's what's important. We have so many challenges today. We were always the giving nation. Our missioners went abroad, helped to develop health systems, education systems, and give the new emerging legislatures an opportunity to develop. Our peacekeeping forces have travelled to all the danger spots of the world. We were a giving nation, and that's why we are held in such high esteem. Again, I compliment everybody connected with this event. For me, it will be one of the greatest honours to have been part of this event. Clonmel, as in the past, has done us proud. And the volunteers here in Clonmel largely grew out of Commemorative, which was so active at that time in Clonmel. Keep our culture to the fore, respect that which has been handed on to us, and always remember the Irish have a potential which will match the potential of any country in the world. Garamila Mila Mahamad.
Gardenora, ready, bow. Gardenora, start. Gardenora, stop and pay. Gardenora, la harv, own yesh, to say.
The wreath bearers will now take up their positions.
Gardenora, Asham Brigg, Gardenora, Aram, Shumpra, Lee.
The wreath will now be laid. One minute's silence will now be observed.
Gardenora, Gardenora, Umprig,
We now ask the audience to stand. The last post in Reveille and the national anthem will now be played.
Gardenora, Harrogate, Okay. Gardenora, Harrogate, arm. Gardenora, Humphrey, arm. Gardenora, Clinic, arm. Gardenora, Mock from Hay. Gardenora, Tussig, Mark Marshall.